He waited alone, his hands trembling slightly as he clutched a small bouquet of wilting daisies. The cafe around him hummed softly with the low chatter of couples, the clinking of cups, and the scent of freshly baked bread. But at that corner table by the window, everything was still. The chair across from him was empty, just as it had been for the past 2 hours. He had already ordered 2 coffees, both now cold. Still, he didn't move. He just stared at the door, waiting. Daniel wasn't new to disappointment, but this one hurt differently. He wasn't waiting for a business partner, a friend, or even a blind date. He was waiting for his wife. The same woman who once laughed so hard she'd spill her drink every time he told a bad joke. The same woman whose eyes had always been his home. But today, she hadn't come, at least, not yet. It had been 6 months since the accident. 6 months since their daughter, Lily, was taken from them in a blink of an eye on a rainy night. Since then, his wife, Emma, had drifted somewhere far away emotionally. She had stopped speaking much, stopped smiling, and most painfully, stopped being able to look at him. Every attempt Daniel made to bring her back to life seemed to push her further into silence. But this meeting was supposed to change things. He'd begged her to come. Just coffee, he'd said. Just us. Like before. And so he waited. As the minutes stretched into hours, memories filled the empty chair, the way Emma used to doodle hearts on napkins, how Lily would giggle from her high chair, how they'd once talked about building a little bookstore together one day. But those dreams now lay buried under the weight of grief neither of them knew how to carry. Just as Daniel lowered his head, whispering a prayer that maybe she'd forgive him for being the one behind the wheel that night, a soft voice broke the silence. "Are you waiting for my mommy?" He looked up. A little girl, no more than 6, stood beside his table. Her hair was tied into messy pigtails, and she held a tiny stuffed bear by its arm. Her big brown eyes were curious but kind. "Your mommy?" Daniel asked, startled. She nodded, smiling gently. "She said she's just wiping her tears. She told me to tell you she'll be here in a minute." The world seemed to stop spinning. His throat tightened. "Your mommy," he whispered again, as if afraid to hope. The girl nodded once more, then pointed toward the cafe entrance. Daniel turned his head slowly, and there she was, Emma. Her eyes were red, her face pale, but she was there. For the first time in months, she was standing before him. And in that moment, he understood, she hadn't sent the girl. The little girl was just a stranger, perhaps led by something neither of them could see. Emma approached quietly, every step hesitant. When she finally reached the table, her lips trembled. "I'm sorry," she said, voice breaking. "I sat outside for so long. I didn't know if I could come in." Daniel's heart felt like it might burst. "You're here. That's all that matters." She sat down across from him, her hands shaking. For a long time, they said nothing. The air was heavy with everything they hadn't been able to say for months. Finally, Emma whispered, "I saw a little girl run inside just now. She looked like," she stopped, biting her lip hard. "Like Lily." Daniel swallowed the lump in his throat. "Yeah," he said softly. "She told me you were coming." Tears slipped down Emma's cheeks as she looked out the window, where the child was now skipping away with her mother. "I thought I'd never feel her near me again," she said. "But when I saw that little girl, it felt like Lily was saying, 'It's okay to come back, Mommy.'" Daniel reached across the table and took her hand. For the first time in what felt like forever, she didn't pull away. She let him hold her, and in that quiet moment, something inside both of them began to heal. Over the next hour, they talked, really talked. About the accident, about the guilt, about how both of them had blamed themselves. Emma confessed that every time she saw Daniel, she was reminded of the night they lost Lily. But she also realized that pushing him away was like losing their daughter all over again. Daniel listened, tears streaming freely now. "I'd give anything to change what happened," he said, voice shaking. "But I can't lose you too." Emma nodded slowly. "I don't want to keep living in that night. I want to remember her laugh, not her last breath." They cried together, the kind of tears that finally cleanse old wounds. And when they left the cafe, Daniel reached for her hand again. This time, she squeezed back. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in soft gold and pink. For the first time in months, the air didn't feel so heavy. Emma looked up at the clouds and whispered, "Good night, baby." Daniel followed her gaze, smiling faintly. "She'd want us to keep going," he said. Emma nodded, leaning into him. "Then let's start again." As they walked away, the cafe door closed behind them, but the silence they once carried in their hearts was gone. Somewhere, in the soft rustle of the evening breeze, they could almost hear Lily's laughter, light, pure, and full of love. He had waited alone for so long. But that day, when a little girl said, "Mommy's just wiping her tears," she unknowingly opened the door for two broken souls to find their way back home. And in that quiet reunion, they learned that grief never truly leaves, but love, when held onto gently, can light the path through even the darkest night.